With rumblings about food shortages, should we be stocking up now? I got this message from Shirley, and she says, I've been hearing rumblings about food shortages for quite a few YouTube creators. I am feeling uncertain about what they are saying. A few of them are fairly solid, others fall into the alarmist camp. Have you been hearing the same? At any rate, I would love to hear what you and Mike think of it. Could you guys possibly do a piece addressing this? Okay, so Mike and I did another video last week, sort of addressing this a little bit. He's having knee surgery tomorrow, so he's having to get other work done, so sorry about that. But I will tell you what I think. First of all, I went and looked at a few of the YouTubers who are talking about this. Glenn Beck, Canadian Prepper, several of those people. Canadian Prepper, I think Glenn Beck was the highest. Here's my 2 cents on what all these people are saying. As far as the war that's happening with Iran right now, the Bible tells us that these things are going to be happening. There's going to be rumors of war. There's going to be war and rumors of war. There's going to be famine. There's going to be lawlessness. All these things that we're seeing happening and are actually happening was predicted in the Bible. I mean, as a Christian, if you are worried about these things, well, you already know that they are happening. Now, from a purely practical standpoint, what do I think about all of the blockades of letting ships through and all that kind of stuff? I live here in Wyoming. We are at the end of the food supply chain. Not the end of the food chain, unlike what I said in my other video. I took a mad mistake. We are at the end here. It doesn't go further than us. We are as far as you can get away from food, with the exception of Hawaii and Alaska. I should say in the lower 48. Had comment about that. Yeah, the lower 48 is what I'm talking about. So if there's any blizzard, if there's any mudslides, if there are tornadoes, any number of things could wipe out our highways here in Wyoming. We only have about a 4, if we're really lucky, 5-month growing season here. We pretty much can't grow anything of value as far as food to survive. Not a ton. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying our growing season is very short. So for us to grow our own food here, it's very, very difficult. So for that reason, I am always prepared. Now, my stockpile has gotten low at the moment and I need to go stockpile. And some of you said in the last video you wanted me to do a stockpile video. If you want, I can do that video still. I haven't gone and done it yet. I've let my stockpile go down. I have been feeling really bad the last 18 months to 2 years. And quite frankly, it's all I can do to just keep myself up and going. So to deal with something like stockpiling, I'm like, oh brother, I really don't want to do this. But here's the thing, because my stockpile was so large to start with, I can go 18 months, not have to worry about restocking it, and I'm okay. Now, should I restock it? Yeah, it's not even close to being empty. I mean, we still probably have 4 to 6 months worth of food, easy. But should I probably go ahead and start adding some fresh stuff to it? Yeah, I will. And if you guys want me to do that video, go ahead and let me know if you guys are still interested in that. This video is brought to you by my Dining on a Dime cookbook, guys. It is our Mother's Day sale right now, up to 50% off. Our cookbook has easy recipes to get you in and out of the kitchen quick that your family will love. Go visit us at livingonadime.com for up to 50% off right now. So my first point is you should always have your stockpile and always be ready no matter what. And I know there are people who say, well, what about if your house burns down? What if your house gets hit by a tornado, a hurricane, or whatever? There are always going to be those exceptions. But let's just look at the statistics for real numbers. What is the percent chance that my house will burn down? Okay, so over 30 years, the chances of my house actually burning down to the ground is 0.1% chance over 30 years that my house might burn down to the ground. What is the percent chance that my house will be flattened by a tornado? Once again, less than, well, this is 0.01% chance that my house is going to be flattened by a tornado. What is the percent chance that my house will be flattened by a hurricane? Okay, so I can't get a good answer from Google on the actual percent of being hit by a hurricane. It says I need to know where you live and all that. I'm just saying in general. Well, let's try this. Chances my house will be flattened by a hurricane in Florida. What is the percentage chance that my house will be uninhabitable due to a hurricane in Florida? Okay, so I don't know. It's not really giving me what are the chances that your house won't be able to live in, but it says 18% of homes in the US are vulnerable to severe or extreme hurricane-related wind damage. That doesn't mean your house is going to be flattened. So a 1 in 5 chance of being hit by a hurricane. That still means that's a 20% chance that, or that still means it's an 80% chance that you won't have a house for your stockpile, okay? So stop using these crazy exceptions for everything as your excuse for not being prepared. The other thing is, well, I live in an apartment. I don't have a place to store anything. Yes, you do. I lived in an apartment that was 400 square feet. And I can tell you, I had corners in the backs of closets. I had really high cabinets in the kitchen on top shelves. I had behind my couch, I could have put some trunks or totes or something with food. I could put it under my bed. I could have put it under my couch. I could have made end tables out of trash cans and put a top on there and stored food in there if I needed to. I'm not telling you you have to store food in every single crevice of your home, but you should at least have a month's worth of food. How much food does the average American family have on hand? Period. How long will it last them? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. The average American household has roughly less than a week's supply of food on hand. There's no excuse for that at all in America. At all. Americans can more than afford at least 1, 2, or 3 months worth of food in their house. Grocery prices are not that expensive. Have they gone up? Yes, but they are not by any stretch of the imagination so expensive that you just can't afford food. How do I know? Because when I go to Walmart, the baskets are still full of prepackaged chips, pre-cut vegetables, sodas, bottled tea, bottled coffee, blueberries, cakes, cookies, expensive granola bars, health food, all of these crazy expensive foods. I'll guarantee you, you will see baskets full of soda before you will see baskets full of rice and beans. That is a fact. It just is. So to say you don't have the money for food now is just an excuse, and it's just not true at all. You can afford food, you just don't want to afford food. What are some ways to have food on hand so that you can just always be prepared? First of all, stop throwing food away. 30% of food is thrown away before it even hits the grocery store. I was shocked when I heard that. Between the farmers throwing it away and then the packaging plants throwing it away, 30% of the food is thrown away before it even hits the store. Another 30% of food is thrown away in grocery stores. I was like, I saw that, I double checked because I didn't know if I could remember right, but 60% of the food is thrown away before it even gets basically to your house. And then I'll guarantee you, I have watched and families throw away 30 to 50% of the food they bring into the house. It is ridiculous. From refusing to eat leftovers to spoiled fruits and vegetables because you forget to eat them, from picky eaters, from just cooking way too much, from refusing to freeze food or save it for later. All of those types of things are food waste. So the majority of our food is wasted before we even consume it. And then even when we have it in the house, we probably waste another 20% just in bad food. And then we probably waste another 20% in throwing away leftovers that could be eaten. So just getting those things under control, first of all, will help find money for food. People just are not getting this. And I'm not even talking about cutting out the nails, cutting out the hair, cutting out the Starbucks, cutting out the new cars, cutting out the kids' sports, cutting out the credit card interest, cutting out the car loans. If you cut all those things out, you would be cutting out daycare. You would have more than enough money to pay for the extra food to have on hand. But people just don't want to do that. So, I mean, I can preach about this all day, but you first of all, you've got to decide that this is something you're going to do. The next thing is stop buying junk. Stop buying the sodas. Stop buying all the pre-packaged chips and the pre-cut vegetables and the fancy granola bars and the kombucha and all that health food stuff and the protein this and the protein that. You don't need all of that stuff to eat a healthy diet. You just don't. And buying the junk is probably 50% of everyone's grocery bill. I need to go to Walmart and just really take a look on a Saturday or a Sunday and just give people $5 for taking a picture of their grocery cart before they check out, because it's absolutely ridiculous, the stuff that people are buying. The other thing I would do is I would make sure that I have foods that can stay on the shelf longer if you need to. Things like cake mixes and processed foods like that. I found cake mixes for 9 cents a package, one Halloween, and I think I got 80 packages of them for 9 cents. And I just stocked up on them. I made waffles, I made pancakes, I made muffins, cupcakes, same thing. I made regular cakes. I made all kinds of stuff. And then I still had some left. So we were getting ready to move, so I sold them at a garage sale for 50 cents a package, and I made all the money back. Well, I only spent $7, so I actually made money, but I made all my money back plus additional money on those cake mixes. And people get their knickers all in a bunch over the cake mixes. And I'm not telling you to stockpile all cake mixes. I'm just using this as a prepackaged food option. But I just had to read this comment from a viewer on my other channel, Super Easy Recipes. It says, these aren't ingredients, they're products. This is a cake filled, my emphasis added, with preservatives and processed chemicals. Gross. Okay, you guys need to stop being food snobs. It has gotten so out of hand, it's absolutely ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I saw this meme the other day. I was just like, I am gluten-free. But I saw this and I was just like, this is what happens when you finally flip out dealing with all of the food problems we have now. I mean, it's just so true. So I thought, okay, I usually just delete these comments, but I thought, no, this one I am not letting go this time. So I went and took the 15 ounces of the cake mix and I went and looked at the ingredients. So the first few ingredients was just normal stuff. Okay, so let's read through the first batch of ingredients. Flour with vitamins added, sugar, leavening, baking soda, baking powder. So the main ingredients are flour, sugar, and baking powder. That's the top 3 ingredients. Flour, sugar, baking powder for a yellow cake. Then it says contains 2% or less of the following ingredients: canola oil, propylene glycol, mono and diesters of fat and fatty acids, mono and dicrysolites. I don't even know how to pronounce these things. I know. Dextrose, wheat starch. I know what wheat starch is. I know what salt is. I know what canola oil is. Corn starch, natural and artificial flavoring. Cellulose xanthan gum. I know what that is. Corn starch. I know what that is. Maltodextrin, sodium stearylate, food colorings, yellow, red, cellulose gum, and BHT and citric acid. Okay, so I went in. Sure, it's got all those things in there, and it says it's 2% or less. So I went in and figured out what 2% of 15 ounces was. So here's my response to this lady. I said, it's really okay. I know that the 3/4 of a teaspoon of preservatives and processed chemicals in the entire box of cake mix, which has 10 servings, isn't going to hurt anyone at all. That means 1 serving of cake mix. Now listen to this. 1 serving of cake mix has less than 1/10 of a teaspoon. 1/10 of a teaspoon. 1/8 of a teaspoon is a pinch. It's not even a pinch of those things in there. These kinds of comments are just ignorant comments. Actually know your facts. So then the next comment I will get, oh, all of those things cause cancer. Are you telling me that you actually believe that the 1/10 of the 2% in that cake mix that you maybe eat once or twice a month is actually going to give you cancer? If you are eating that amount of cake, that you're going to get, if you're eating such a huge amount of cake that you're going to get cancer from eating those things, you have a bigger problem than those ingredients, and it's called being fat. That's a much bigger problem. So for all the cancer people who are going to say this, I saw this article. Leading risk factor for cancer revealed. And it's not smoking, alcohol, or the sun. I was like, oh, well, that's very interesting. I wonder what the leading cause of cancer was, because I thought it was smoking. And then I thought it was alcohol. And then I thought it was sun. Now, I won't read the whole article, but I'll just give you the first couple of paragraphs. This was from The Independent. If you were to ask most people what causes cancer, the answer would probably be smoking, alcohol, or sun, hair dyes, or other avoidable elements like the 2% ingredients, the 1/10 of a teaspoon in cake mixes. But the most important risk factor for cancer is something else. Take a wild guess what that something else is. Just a wild guess. And let me just say, before I tell you, I'm going to say I told you so, because I've been saying this for 30 years. It's aging. I have for years been telling people, I don't think that all of this cancer is from Roundup. I don't think all this cancer is from the, not even a pinch of chemicals. Do you realize? I mean, it's not even that much of chemicals. You know what? I'm going to go get a pinch and I'm going to insert it here and I'll show you the picture of what 1/10 of a teaspoon looks like. Okay, so there's 1 tablespoon. Going to flatten my tablespoon there. Okay. Does that look like half, Dave? There's half. Okay, and now we're going to make this into a nice little line. Okay, so now we have 5 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was not equal. We'll try it again. Boop-de-doop-de-doo. Okay. Let's try one more time. 1, oops, couldn't do that. Nope, that's not equal either. Okay, we'll try again. I'm showing 1/10 of a teaspoon. Okay, let's just try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks fairly even. This one's a little small. Okay, so we are talking, just for the sake of whatever, that much right there is the 1% of the ingredients that we can't pronounce in a cake mix. In one piece of cake.
It's a teaspoon?
No, 1/10 of a teaspoon. Big whoop-de-ding.
This is a teaspoon?
Yes.
I thought that was a tablespoon.
No, this is a teaspoon.
It's gonna kill me.
Get over it.
I'm gonna die.
Do you know Jesus?
I can't possibly eat that.
Do you know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior?
Yes.
So when you die, you go to heaven for sure?
Yes, but I'm gonna die. I can't possibly eat that. What are you talking about?
Well, at least you'll meet Jesus sooner.
Oh, yep.
Is causing cancer. It's not. It's getting old. And I've been saying this and saying this, that I don't think all of this cancer and all of these things are from anything we're eating or anything we're doing. I think it's just because we are living so much longer because our medical care has gotten so much more advanced that we are living so much longer. But people don't want to listen to that. They want to focus on these other things. They want to focus on, instead of eating less food and losing weight, oh, it's all the preservatives and chemicals in the cake mix. So let's just look this up. I'm just thinking right now. Let me just look up right now, what is the average age before all these chemicals came into our food? What was the average age of death in 1950? So the average age of death in 1950, the life expectancy was 68 years old in the United States and 46 to 48 years old globally. So let's look and see what the age was in 2025. 77 to 79 years old. That's 10 to 15 more years that people are living, and so their old age is just catching up with them, and so they're getting cancer just because they're old. Now, it did say the leading cause of cancer, aside from old age, is smoking. And then the next one is eating too much and being fat. We need to stop calling it being obese. You're fat. Maybe if you would start calling it that, it might wake some of us up to lose some weight. I'm sorry, but it just would. And I'm in the same camp. Believe me, I got to get some weight off. But we keep making all these things just sound so nice, so we're not offensive and all this. Well, I'm sorry. You're fat. I'm fat. We need to lose weight. Then maybe your chances of cancer won't be so high when you get to be 65 and 70 and 80. But people are so worried about things like stockpiling and prepping now, they can't see the forest through the trees. And so they worry about things like getting a cake mix for 9 cents to put in my stockpile so I have something super cheap that I can make pancakes and waffles and everything out of, muffins out of, if I need to. So it's okay to buy those things. I get all kinds of things on clearance. I get cereal on clearance. I got boxes of cereal at Halloween, Christmas, and Valentine's Day for 40 cents after the holiday. Several of them. Let me tell you, our family is going to eat that if there's a true emergency. Now, there are a lot of people going around saying that we're going to be nuked any day now, and that's it. It's all over. What are we going to do? Prophets of the Lord. People are calling themselves prophets and saying that God is showing them these things. Okay, so when you're listening to these people, how do you know someone is actually a prophet and predicting all of these things that are going to happen? Because this is just rampant. It is just rampant. First of all, if someone says that they are a prophet, everything they say will be in full alignment with the Bible. So if someone says that right now we are living through Revelation 15, 16, 17, 18, and all of these things that in those chapters of the Bible are supposedly happening, we know that they're lying and they are not a prophet. Why? Because all of the other things that happened earlier in Revelation, like hailstones, ridiculously huge hailstones, crazy famine, crazy earthquakes, a third of the earth is going to be burned up and a third of the population of the earth is going to die, the mark of the beast, all of that, we can buy or sell without having a tattoo or microchip or something. Who knows how it's going to end up? It'll be either a tattoo or a microchip, but probably in all probability. But we can buy and sell. We're not restricted. All of those things happened before. So I know that when someone says, we're in Revelation 18 right now, and this is happening, and this is related to the United States, and the United States is going to be blown to bits, I know I'm not going to listen to that person. Why? Because I know the Bible, and I know that Revelation 5 through, let's say they start at 15, 5 through 14 hasn't happened yet. So I know that person is not a prophet from God. I know that person is not a prophet from God when they tell you to go do things that goes against the Bible, like be afraid, be worried. Yeah, you can be prepared and not be afraid or worried. I have a stockpile, but it's not because I'm sitting here running around saying the sky is falling. It's because I've lived through no well. I've lived through no access to food when we had major floods and our town was cut off. I lived in Tornado Alley for 30 years of my life. I know the last town we lived in Kansas, that town had been blown to bits by a tornado 20 years before. So I know it can happen. But I don't sit there and worry about it all the time. And quite frankly, if I didn't have my stockpile for whatever reason, I wouldn't worry about it. Because as a Christian, I know that if God is going to feed the birds, he's going to feed me. And if it's my time to go, it's just my time to go. I know Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I know I'll be okay either way. Either way, I'll be okay. And if you think that you're going to stockpile enough to make it through the tribulation that the Bible talks about in Revelation, if you think you're going to stockpile enough to get yourself through that, and all of the things that are going to happen during that, you are very mistaken. You are very mistaken. Now, I also know that things are going to come back because the Bible also tells us that it's going to be like in the days of Noah before the second coming. In Matthew 24, they're going to be eating and drinking and giving in marriage. Well, how can you be eating and drinking and giving in marriage if you don't have any food? So there's going to be food somehow that comes back. And I have a feeling it's going to be regular food. The Bible doesn't say you're going to be eating crickets. You're going to be eating plastics made into food. I find it very hard to believe that the Bible wouldn't tell us. I mean, maybe it's possible. Now, is it possible that the United States could get attacked by a nuclear weapon? Yes, it's very possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. But if you're listening to people who say they're prophets and they're telling you one thing, but it goes absolutely against what the Bible says, do not listen to them. They are rampant all over YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. They're just rampant. But we know those people aren't real prophets because they're not following the Bible. So I know a lot of people are really worried about this, but frankly, I'm not. If we're hit by a nuclear attack, there is nothing I can do about it. Absolutely nothing I can do about it. I can have the stuff that I have on hand, but first of all, if you're in the area with a direct hit, you're going to be toast anyway, literally. So there's nothing I can do about then. If there's fallout and I'm alive, well, I'm just going to do the best that I can when it happens. And it gets to the point where if you're spending your entire life worrying about these things and making yourself sick over it, you're probably worrying about something that's not going to happen, and you're going to be dead before it happens anyway from a heart attack or stroke from the stress of it. So that's my 2 cents. If you want to go watch this video next, we will see you guys next time, livingonadime.com.